All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the leaders in the NFC West, and that is the Seattle Seahawks sitting here at 7-5, winners of 3 straight, including last Sunday on the road against the New York Jets. And then prior to that, back-to-back wins against divisional rivals in San Francisco and Arizona. Now, it's not all perfect in the sense of, all right, Seahawks are leading the NFC West. Now they're going to walk their way to the playoffs. But one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is because, first off, in the 2 years I've been making Seahawks videos, I don't think I've ever sat here 12 games into the regular season and Seattle's destiny is technically in their own hands. Usually it's clawing away for a wild card spot because they've already lost a game or two to San Francisco, and the last 2 years going 9-8. It's a good team. They have a good team, and Mike Macdonald has this defense on a completely different stratosphere. And I even want to talk a little bit about the offense because I think some people think, oh, well, it's Seattle. It's Geno Smith, right? Seattle's offense, it's not that good. Well, the offense isn't bad by any means. The only bad part with Seattle right now is the offensive line, in my opinion. It's just correlating to very little time for Geno Smith to get the ball out. It's also leading him to get sacked. Got sacked 3 times on Sunday against the New York Jets, and they're the 4th worst running team in the NFL. There's just no open lanes. There's no time for these guys to even get back to the line of scrimmage. That's my one concern right now with Seattle. Sorry, I just hit my knee, is the offensive line. So we're going to talk mainly about the defense, but we'll briefly touch on this offensive line before we do. But hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Seahawks fans, love and appreciate you guys as always. If we try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. One of the reasons I'm making this video is because tomorrow my Green Bay Packers, who you guys will be playing at home in 2 weeks from right now, a little over 2 weeks, you get the point, are taking on the Detroit Lions. And Seattle currently would be hosting a home playoff game against my Green Bay Packers. Now, just being a lifelong Packers fan, having my heart broken in Seattle way too many times than I can count, way too many times. I'm scarred for life anytime playing a meaningful game in Seattle. All right, that's just my thoughts and opinions, especially in the playoffs. I do not want anything to do with the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. I want, especially on the road, I want absolutely nothing to deal with it. Now, most people, when they think about the Seattle Seahawks, they're like, maybe they're, familiar with Mike Macdonald. Maybe they're familiar with what this defense is doing. But I think most people would think, well, all right, Geno's their quarterback. He's their quarterback for the foreseeable future. Why should we care about the Seattle Seahawks when Geno Smith is their quarterback? But what a lot of people don't know is Geno's actually doing a really good job this season. He does have 13 interceptions. Obviously, interceptions are not necessarily a QB stat, but he's currently 2nd in the league in passing yards per game among qualified quarterbacks with a little over 270 passing yards per game. And once again, the Seattle Seahawks are leading the NFC West. So whether you like it or not, the Seahawks should be on your radar. Now, the bad. All right, Geno Smith was sacked 3 times on Sunday, and the Seahawks are currently 28th in the league in pressure percentage allowed. Smith was pressured on 34.3% of his dropbacks, but here's the kicker. He is an 81.6 PFF grade. So what he's doing right now under these specific circumstances, it's kind of borderline elite level. Now, just for some more context here before we get into the defense, the offensive line per PFF, and I know it's not the end-all be-all, but they do a good enough grading job to kind of illustrate my point here. The offensive line is ranked by PFF at number 30. Now, Satoa got the first NFL start, 4-year starter at Utah at right guard. I very promised about his, I know he's a rookie. I think he's got a bright future in the NFL. He had a 34.6 PFF overall grade. That was the 3rd worst mark amongst guards last week. In fact, Seattle's offensive line on Sunday against New York gave up 12 pressures, including 3 sacks on 35 pass plays against the Jets. The unit's 81.4 PFF pass blocking efficiency rating was the 3rd worst in the NFL this week. So the point is, you got some good tackles. If they can figure out this offensive line, and I think personally a lot of offensive line is coaching, if they can figure this out in the next 5 games and they can start running the ball at a more consistent, reliable level, because, well, I got Ken Walker and I got Zach Charbonnet, so those are two dudes you do not want to unleash, then I'm not concerned about Seattle's defense. They're borderline top 10. They're hovering. I think they're currently 12th in the NFL in total offense, but they have a playoff caliber offense. JSN, DK, Lockett, the running backs, Noah Fant. We could go on and on, but let's talk about the defense, because at the end of the day, the old adage is defense wins championships. And so they came into this season where most people don't even know too many players on the Seahawks, or if you do, you knew a guy like Leonard Williams. And the Seahawks, I talked about this on our Victor recap a couple of days ago. The Leonard Williams trade was heavily criticized, heavily critiqued in the NFL media world, and then his extension was even more so heavily critiqued. But they wanted to go into this season with a Legion of Boom mentality, and it was a weird start to the season. The Seahawks started 3-0, but they were allowing 23.1 points per game, and even worse, they were giving up almost 150 rushing yards per game. So they were the 21st ranked scoring defense, the 28th ranked rushing defense, but in the last couple of games, they have allowed just 14 points and 84.3 rushing yards in the last 4 games. That's the 3rd best scoring defense in the NFL, and that's the 5th best rushing defense in the NFL. To go even further, they have held opposing offenses to 17 points or fewer in 3 consecutive wins. On Sunday, the defense allowed only 14 points, and the New York Jets had 0 points in the second half. And even just go a little bit further, if it wasn't for the punt return, like another big concern I was saying was the offensive line. The other huge concern is the special teams room that had like 3 muffed returns. 2 of them were lost. I think your wide receiver Chenault got cut like the day after, the day of it happened, and they gave up a 99-yard return touchdown. So special teams, now that I think of it, is also a huge concern, or it's something that needs to be addressed in the final 5 games of the regular season. But if you go back to Seattle's 3-0 start, after that, the defense was literally decimated by injuries. Detroit Lions, New York Giants, San Francisco. I mean, there's most of their starters. It sounds crazy, but it's not, or it is crazy. It's real. Most of their starters, specifically in that Giants game, they were missing like 7 starters in that football game. So they go on a losing streak. People forget about Seattle. Well, folks, over the last 3 weeks, the Seahawks defense ranks among the top 3 teams in points per drive and EPA per play. They're just playing as a complete coexisting unit. They've had back-to-back pick sixes in the last 2 weeks. Leonard Williams over the last 2 games has 10 total tackles, 4.5 sacks. He even had another, and there was a penalty, so it got nullified. 2 tackles for loss on run plays, a blocked PAT, 2 passes defended. One of them included the 92-yard return touchdown pick against New York last week. This defense is playing right now like a top 10 undisputed group, and the offense is also hovering around there. So, yeah, this is a playoff team. Destiny is on your side. You control your own destiny. It's not the easiest of schedules, but it starts this upcoming weekend with another win against the Arizona Cardinals. We'll see you before then, but hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Guys, give me your thoughts. How confident, 1 out of 10, 10 being very confident, are you that the Seattle Seahawks can win the division and make the playoffs? Peace.